Early childhood in Oklahoma is way more important than most people think.
There is a lot happening in the first weeks, months, and years of a child's life.
We know that 1 million neurons are connecting every second.
All of that has a biological impact and actually shapes the structuring of the baby's brain.
And if they have every opportunity to learn and grow and thrive, then they can succeed later in life.
If we can have children ready for school when they begin school, that's a great thing.
And that affects that trajectory that child will be on through school and throughout their life.
That's what early childhood is about, and that's why it's important.
It was early days at Inasmuch Foundation. The office formed in 2003. We knew our founder, Edith Kinney Gaylord, had been passionate about vulnerable children and their families.
And Edith had just passed away in 2001. The foundation was funded fully in 2003. And we were searching for big ticket items to fund, to make grants to. John Rex, who had been a mentor of mine, he was the president of American Fidelity, and called me up and wanted to have lunch and talked about the need for high quality early education in Oklahoma City. And during that meeting, he said he wanted me to meet Bob Harbison.
I was giving him my spiel on why I supported early childhood. I wasn't trying to introduce brand new things. I wanted to improve the tools that we had to work at early childhood. I still feel that way. None of this was rocket science. You could become pretty knowledgeable in it, but it was so disconnected. There were experts in certain areas, but they didn't have a clue what was going on in the others.
George Kaiser, Bob Harbison, a number of people like that insisted that we consider early childhood education. It took private sector people who would lead the way and inform public people like me what it was all about. So when it came to my desk, what was most important to me, that it applied to everyone, provided they wanted it to be done, to have early childhood education, and it has worked.
Between Bob Harbison and John Rex, just their passion, their interest, and their brilliant minds coming together, they convinced us that high quality early education was the biggest payoff for our grant dollars.
So we have decades of research that tells us what it takes to provide quality services if you want to have the level of quality that will actually change the life trajectory of a young child.
When Inasmuch came along and asked us about Educare and the model, and the more I read, the more impressed I was.
So the idea with an Educare is that it's like your anchor in the community for early childhood. It's elevating the space, the environment, the training, the expectations for staff, and the opportunities for families beyond anything else I've ever seen before in early childhood.
So it was around 2006 that Bob Ross, Bob Harbison, Ray Beche from Sunbeam came knocking on the door and said, we want to do better than the status quo. We're thinking about putting together an Educare. Can we do that?
The more people learned about it, the more they wanted to help support it.
There's nothing more important in these children, and I mean, every study you see is, the more that you put into these kids at an early age, I mean, it just pays off tenfold throughout their lives. I mean, Educare, like I said, is that shining model.
When we were making a big bet to bring Educare to Oklahoma City, I didn't know if we could afford it. It was over my head. And Bob Harbison, who is a brilliant financial mind, came to the table, literally sat down for weeks.
Could we do something like that here in Oklahoma City? I said, yeah, I can explain how you do it anyway.
Here was this man with a yellow notepad, and he did all the math.
And when Bob Harbison said we could afford Educare, I said, green light it.
We broke ground on Educare Oklahoma City in 2007.
We started Educare with 4 anchor partners. So Sunbeam as the Early Head Start grantee, Community Action Agency provided the Head Start, Oklahoma City Public Schools with pre-K, and United Way supporting families that were at risk in the community. So these 4 anchor partners, along with the Inasmuch Foundation and the new Educare board, made the decisions in the early days on where it would be best to have an Educare, who would help design the building, and how we would get this project off the ground.
We had to do what worked best for Oklahoma City and our community. And in doing that, immediately stepping off into the world of collaboration and partnership and gathering that support, as well as the funds, quite frankly, from all those different players and coming together, that ultimately it's under now the umbrella of Sunbeam.
Having an Educare in Oklahoma City also means that the community values early education. So Sunbeam is so proud to have the Educare and all that it's done throughout the years.
To see Sunbeam go from $2 million back in 2003 in an annual operating budget to now over $25 million a year going into the community, most of it federal funds, has just been thrilling to see.
And Sunbeam has been excellent at this. We push out all the best practices that we develop here at Educare. So in our other centers, we are doing the same thing that we're doing at Educare and improving that practice across the community.
Inasmuch and Sunbeam have been a great example of this dance of what can happen when the private sector collaborates with the public sector, and how the two of them can come together and do something much, much bigger than either could do alone.
This is a beacon for the community that says education starts at birth. That if we invest in our young children right from the get-go, that we are investing in the future of our community.